Hey guys, in today's video, I'm going to talk about how you can mistake a firearm for a taser. If you haven't guessed already, you guys already know I'm going to be talking about the Dante Wright case. And this is a case that stems out of Minnesota. This is where the officer mistaked her firearm for a taser. She meant to tase the person and not use her firearm. So let me talk about my qualifications. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm a former civilian taser instructor. All that means is I completed an online course. It was 4 hours. And I trained a significant amount of private security professionals. That's it. I'm not a law enforcement taser instructor. And with both instruction credentials, I think they're good they used to be good every 2 years. I think taser pushed it back to a year, and actually not called taser anymore. It's called Axon. Do you need instructor training every year or every 2 years? Well, I don't think so, but I think this is more of a licensing issue. See, they want to create a licensing issue to generate more value for their stocks, because taser stocks, or actually Axon stocks, keep going up and up and up over the years. Okay, so why not require new instructor training every 1 to 2 years? That's just what taser requires. Now, in real life situations, I'm not going to say the exact number of times I used a taser, and that's just because if I have to testify one day on the stand for something, I'm going to be held to the standard, or actually to the content of this video, and I don't want to be held to that content because there might be some more explaining that I might need to do. So I'm going to keep it modest. I have roughly over 10 real life taser deployments. I've used this weapon system in real life situations. I have unfortunately used every weapon on my duty belt. My life has changed because of some critical incidents that have happened in the past. So I'm not going to go into detail on that. Again, I don't want the content of this video to be used as content in court cases. Now, I am available anytime to testify in court if I need to, based on my experience, but to create a video that is geared for the private security industry and have it the potential to be used in my law enforcement career, I'm definitely not going to go that route. I also have to let you know that I am a off-duty law enforcement officer, and I am a private security trainer. Everything in this video is just my personal opinion. It's not the opinion of any law enforcement agency. Okay. Before we dwell into the subject a little bit further, if you guys don't know already, I am pro law enforcement and I'm pro security. I am tired of hearing all these people out there on YouTube who are former law enforcement, maybe former military, current military, maybe former security, current security, bashing on law enforcement and security, Monday night quarterbacking. On this channel, I do something a little bit different. If you make a mistake out there and there was no criminal intent, there's no criminal negligence, I am always going to back you 100%. I'm not the type of person that's going to watch a video and start bashing the person. I back you. You're in security, you're in law enforcement, I back you. This is the problem, is too many people are unfairly critical in law enforcement, including people and security, people that come from our own breed. Okay, we need to all band together. We need to all stick together. There's going to be tons of mistakes out there. You know who's the one? You know who the cause of this whole problem was? In the Dante Wright case, you know how he was shot instead of taser. You know whose fault that was? I give 50% of the fault to Dante Wright. This guy is a wanted fugitive. He's not listening to the police, and he's bolting towards the car and he takes off. Okay, he has 50%. He's 50% to blame for his cause of death, and I'm going to be very clear on that. Okay, the other law enforcement officer that was involved, okay, that's a negligence in training. Whether or not they're going to charge her, and I think they're going to charge her for manslaughter, that's beyond what this video is going to discuss. But that other person is 50% to blame for this mistake. But let's stop putting the blame always back on law enforcement security. The offender gets half of the blame. A lot of people don't know this, but I lost a friend in the line of duty, and what ended up happening was the offender took control of his patrol unit, and my friend was trying to regain control over his unit. As a result, he was murdered. The suspect rammed him into a fire hydrant, and he died in the line of duty. This is why I have very, very little sympathy for somebody who is killed by the police in self-defense, especially when they are bolting towards a floorboard or any area towards the steering wheel of a vehicle. I have very little regard for those people. Now, for a taser, and this is an X26 taser, by the way. This is very similar to what law enforcement carry. Right now, there's a transition to the S7 or the X7. X7. They're trying to get away from the X26. The other 7 taser actually allows you to have a reload. You get one reload, and I think it's just a switch of the wrist, and you get to have 2 taser deployments. But if you want to have a successful taser deployment, you're going to have 2 of these probes make contact with the body. And I'm talking about very good contact. If they have thick clothing on, baggy clothing on, that can definitely hinder the connection. And what you want to do is you want to have a good spread. So you want to have it spread among different muscle groups. So you want to have maybe a taser probe here, and then another taser probe right here at the belly button. Okay. Now, when you go through your training, there's areas where you should not hit, but I'm just saying in general, you want to have a wide spread, and then you're gonna have more control of this person. Now, if this person is running away, they're fighting, they're resisting. For you to get 2 contacts with the probe can be very difficult. So if they're going towards that floorboard, they're making that fast movement, there is no way that when presenting my firearm, when it's justified, that I'm gonna choose this over this. I'm not gonna do that. Now, I work with some law enforcement officers, and I've seen private security do this as well. They clear buildings with the taser. Okay, what you're doing when you're clearing a building with a taser is you're putting someone else's life on the line. You're putting the person that you are tasked to cover, okay, you're putting them in the line of fire potentially. And why are you putting them in the line of fire? Because when somebody pulls a real gun on you, this is not going to have any effect on them, because you're going to be dead. Okay, this is a less than lethal option. Less than lethal or even less lethal option. So when I'm clearing a building, or I see somebody gunning it towards the floorboard, they're going towards a corner and I can't see them. If I'm private security, as long as it's justifiable, I'm presenting this firearm. I'm not presenting a taser. Okay, I'm not presenting a taser. I'm presenting a firearm. And for this reason, I feel very confident with knowing the difference between a taser and a firearm. Okay, because in possible deadly encounters, I'm drawing the firearm, so I know what the difference is. Now, I've seen some videos where they'll show you the difference between the two. Okay, yes, there's a difference in weight. I give you that. But when you're in a real life situation, you don't think about, hey, this is heavier than this, therefore this one is a taser. At least for me, it doesn't work that way. And again, I've been in critical incidents, and there's no way that I'm able to tell the weight difference. Okay. Second, I've heard another argument about a safety. Okay. This X26 does have a safety. See, right over here. Okay. And the other argument is that real guns don't have safeties, or a significant number of them. And that's true. The Glock doesn't. Okay. But there's some guns that do. My Staccato P Duo or any other 1911 has a manual safety. Okay, so that argument is moot. There's a bunch of other guns out there that have manual safety. Beretta has a manual safety. Certain M&P 2.0s have a manual safety. I think FNs also have a safety. Okay, that argument is moot. Color, that's a moot argument. This one is black. You should know the difference between black and yellow. That's a good argument. That will stand for a little bit. Okay, But when you're in a critical incident, you're not looking at, there's no way that you're looking at your taser and seeing what color it is, okay? Because that's not the way real life happens. You don't say, oh, okay, this is white, blue. If you, obviously, if you have time on your hands, okay? Weight difference, definitely different, okay? Now, I know that I'm prone to making mistakes, and I don't use a cross draw, okay? I seen some argument on social media where you should have the cross draw so you don't get it mistaken. I can't do it. For me, it's more difficult to do a cross draw, because if I do cross draw, okay, meaning this, okay, meaning I draw from this area on my dominant hand. I am right-handed is my dominant hand. So if I cross draw, I draw it from here, okay? To me, I won't do that. I only do support hand draw, which is weak hand or left hand draw, and I have it on this side, okay? Every time I have a less lethal option, it always gets drawn by my left hand, okay? And I learned to feel. So with this support hand, okay, I know exactly how it feels to have a taser, okay? If I put it in this hand, there's always that chance that I might mistake this for a firearm, and I know what I'm capable of doing, so I will always leave it here, okay? And I'm just as accurate because I train with it, okay? The only lethal thing that goes in my hand, okay, is a firearm, and that's how I train. Private security, law enforcement, we need to do it better, okay? We need to train a lot better. What we need to be doing is having reality-based training situations. So the best situations for training are real-life encounters. Obviously, we can't replicate that because that would be morally responsible, morally reprehensible to create life and death situations, right? So the step under that is reality-based situations. You can train with a simunition, you could train with a paintball, train with something that causes some sort of temporary pain on you. If you're clearing a building, okay, you're clearing the building and you know that, or you have this feeling and anxiety that you're gonna get hit with a paintball or a a simunition round, okay, your adrenaline's gonna be pumping, okay? In real life, your adrenaline pumps. Your cognitive ability diminishes. What happens? All the blood goes to the larger parts of your body, your arms, okay, your chest, and not your fingers, your arms, okay, your legs. It's a fight or flight syndrome, fight or flight response. That's the more proper term for that. That's what goes through your body, and you have to keep training constantly with these reality-based situations. So somebody comes after you, we'll just say with a knife, okay? If somebody is charging me with a knife, okay, the only time that I'm going to produce this less lethal option is if I have a partner that has a lethal option. So let me rephrase that again because I just skipped in my words. The only time that I'm going to consider less lethal option is somebody has a knife, blunt instrument, or even a bat, is if I have a less lethal option, like a taser, my partner over there has a lethal option, okay? If there's nobody there with a lethal option, less lethal option, then I'm going to lethal, okay? Because this, if you think this is going to work every time, you are joking yourself. This is a joke if you think it's going to work every single time, because it doesn't. I've used this X26 taser in real life situations, and I've seen where it doesn't work. And I'm telling you, a minimum conservative time, 10 times. Okay, that's not counting the times that I've seen other officers use a taser. This gun works perfectly fine when you get direct contact, but you ought not to depend on your life with this. Okay, you train in, maybe somebody is coming after you with a knife. You have them produce a rubber knife. Okay, they have knives that have an electric spark to it. Okay, if you get touched with a knife, you're gonna get shocked, and that's gonna create that life or death simulated response. And this is as close as you can get to real life. Okay, and then you're gonna develop this muscle memory. So maybe somebody is charging after you with a knife. from maybe 80 feet away, 70 feet, 60 feet away. They drop the knife. Okay, they clearly don't have a weapon. They start running after you to strike you. And that's when you transition. You put away your firearm. Okay, put on safe, or if you don't have safety, put it in your holster. Okay, and then you produce your taser. You practice that. Now, I recommend that you practice it under maybe a company that trains reality-based scenarios. You can do this with other people, but you gotta be very, very careful, because people who train with reality-based scenarios, the instructors, they have been through some training, research. But if you're just rehearsing this with a friend of yours, that friend may not have that necessary level of training or experience so that you guys can both safely learn. Okay. Hope this video helps. If you have any comments, please comment. Subscribe if you haven't already. I plan on doing more of these videos in the future. You guys, please be safe out there. Try not to make these mistakes. Now, using a firearm instead of a taser, it's an extremely rare incident for private security and for law enforcement. The media has blown this out of control. Okay, believe me when I say this. It's out of control. This rarely happens, you guys. And it happens so rarely. I could probably research how many incidents happened just by doing a Google search, and I could probably easily find 12 and maybe about 20 incidents. But when you compare that to the total number of incidents in law enforcement and security, this is a fraction of a fraction of a fraction. It's a decimal of a decimal point of a decimal point. Okay, don't let the media make you believe that law enforcement and private security are doing a horrible job, because that's not the truth. I want to close with this. If you don't support law enforcement out there, you don't support me. So get off my channel. If you don't support security as well, I support security. And if you're against security, you're against me. Get off my channel. Those of you who are loyal to me, I really appreciate it. Those of you that provide great feedback, I appreciate all of you subscribers. I've had a few that have unsubscribed, and that's great, because I know that I have some really loyal people right now. So you guys be safe.